We heard it all.
Well, musical geniuses are born, not created, and
The mad genius, a natural talent, born prodigy. From an early age on, we are confronted with characters who are simply better than everyone else. They simply know, do, and create things. Everything comes easy to them. They look at a problem and know the solution. Their imagination finds inspiration everywhere. And before you even open your eyes, they bring miracles to life. Didn't we all want to become like them at some point in our lives? But we simply couldn't. I want to speak at least for myself. Somehow I had a basic talent for drawing and wanted to be able to look out of the window and create heavenly images. As expected, sitting all day long and waiting for inspiration didn't do anything. Until my early 20s, this brought me to the conclusion that I'm just not good enough to create something. Because the media depictions of successful people I idealized hid the most important part of the creative process. It never comes easy. There is always, without an exception, hard dedication and effort behind every craft. Again, like the way I internalized the image of a mad genius through movies, it was also a movie that made me realize that I have to take action if I want to reach anything in life. And this movie is no other than Yoshifumi Kondo's Whisper of the Heart, another Ghibli masterpiece. But before we dive into its message, let's take a closer look at the genius trope itself. On my research for this video, I found an article called 5 Myths About Genius by Eric Weiner from the Washington Post that focuses on debunking common misconceptions about the concept of genius. So the author argues that the term genius is often misunderstood and misused in popular culture, and outlines these 5 myths about the genius. Of course, first we have genius is mostly about genetics. Here Weiner challenged the idea that genius is mostly determined by genetics. While genetics do play a role in intelligence and talent, they are only factors upon many others, such as hard work and attitude. So the article emphasizes that genius requires a certain mindset and unflappable persistence. The second and my favorite myth: geniuses are smarter than everyone else. Contrary to popular belief, high IQ is not the defining characteristic of the genius. Many historical figures considered to be geniuses had only modest IQs. He says that creative genius is more about elevated vision, the ability to come up with new and valuable ideas, rather than raw intelligence. Genius is not necessarily about encyclopedic knowledge or impressive education. I mean, at this point we all know the example of Einstein being a mediocre student. So let's move on to the next myth. Geniuses can pop up anywhere at any time. Here the article quotes a study. The Atlantic City Lab has analyzed the birthplaces of MacArthur Geniuses grantees and found that they all were born all over the world, but not randomly. Instead, geniuses tend to appear in groupings or clusters in certain places at certain times. These places are often cities and possess characteristics such as destiny, intimacy, tolerance, and openness to experience, which of course nurture creativity. These places are like creative ecology that cultivates and produces geniuses rather than random occurrences like shooting stars. Then the fourth myth, you might have guessed it, geniuses are grumpy loners. You all know the image of lonely nerds. Pop culture loves to portray geniuses as tortured, solitary individuals. But in reality, they seek out kindred spirits and often belong to support groups, while geniuses might cherish times for solitude. They also toggle between these moments, even more sociable ones. According to the article, studies has shown that eminent scientists have more interaction with other eminent scientists, highlighting the importance of collaboration and social connection. Last but not least, we have a myth I won't relate to the movie, but is still interesting. We are smarter now than ever. To keep it short, while college attendances and IQ scores are higher than ever, there is no evidence that we are producing more geniuses than ever. The flood of gigabytes that flashes over us on a daily basis may even be hindering genuine breakthroughs. In conclusion, Eric Weiner challenged commonly held beliefs about the nature of genius, arguing that it's not only something innate or limited to a certain type of person. Instead, he suggests that genius is the result of hard work, dedication, and willingness to think outside of the box. Now let's see how all of this relates to Whisper of the Heart. On the surface, Whisper of the Heart appears to be a cutesy coming-of-age story with a very nostalgic tone. I mean, it has the best use of country roads in a movie ever. How nostalgic should it be? However, at heart, it offers a profound exploration of creativity. The film provides a powerful critique of the genius trope while celebrating the creative process simultaneously. But to take a step back, the story follows the journey of the senior middle schooler Shizuku in the style of Japanese slice-of-life movies. Her day-to-day activities are depicted without any great events, yet significant things happen. Her journey is as impactful as an adventure story's hero. Everything starts with her hobby, which is reading. As a bookworm, she constantly borrows books from the library and notices that in every book card the same name appears, Seiji Amazawa. Of course, she becomes curious and starts to romanticize about that person who reads the same books as her. After a while, it turns out that Seiji is from the same school. They befriend and she gets to know his passion. She loves to make violins and seeks to become a luthier. Looking at him, she begins to contemplate her own path. Not exactly knowing what to do, her friends motivate her to pursue her writing skills. Thus, she gives all in and starts to write her first story. The film debunks the first myth of the born prodigy by challenging the notion that creative genius is an innate and fixed quality that some people are born with. Instead, it shows that creativity can be developed and cultivated through hard work and dedication. Shizuku's struggle to find her voice as a writer and develop her skills highlight that anyone can become a great artist with enough effort and practice. Regarding the second myth, that geniuses are better than everyone else, the film also offers a reasonable standpoint where our protagonist is not better than her peers, but only has a predisposition she works towards. We see that various characters have different interests and focus on different specialties without favoring one over the other. This may be completely coincidental, yet the circumstances in which Shizuku lives highlight the study of our third myth that geniuses can pop up anywhere and at any time. She is the daughter of an educated middle-class family in a modern city setting. Furthermore, the film challenged the idea that a genius is a solitary figure who works in isolation, divorced from the rest of society. Shizuku spends a lot of time writing alone, but draws inspiration from those around her, including her family, friends, her love interest Seiji, and in particular Seiji's grandfather, who's something like a mentor. Her relationships with others allow her to find her voice as a writer and create a work that reflects her unique perspective and experiences. Whisper of the Heart challenges the idea that the genius is a superhuman figure immune to doubt, fear, and insecurity. Shizuku is struggling with self-doubt, anxiety, and uncertainty, like any other creative person. However, it's through these struggles that she grows and develops as a writer and ultimately creates a work that is personal and meaningful. The best part is that the film doesn't end with a great achievement in the conventional sense. Shizuku does not win a prize or get published. Realistically, she only finishes her first story. This is the perfect conclusion for her self-discovery. She may not have reached success on a wider scale, which is often the case in portrayals of geniuses. However, she found her path, and the end of her first story only marks the beginning of that path, which will lead to many other ups and downs in her life.